Alright, the next step in this process is to go ahead and re-adhere the display assembly into the frame of the phone. You want to make sure you clean up all the loca around all the edges, any liquid that might still be there. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll actually, after I've finished the loca and cleaning it up, I'll put it underneath the UV light again, upside down, and just give it some more time to cure. We're going to use some tape and tape the outside of this phone. Normally I use 3M double-sided tape, but I've been hearing about this VHB tape that's a little bit higher temperature tape. So we're going to try this on this phone. It's basically the exact same thing. It's a clear tape instead of a black tape is all. So we're just going to tape down the side of the phone. I'll be using, I believe it's a 1mm tape for this side here. And the goal of this is that you don't want the tape to go up the edge of the frame at all. You want it to lay nice and flat within the actual housing for the front display. So make sure that it doesn't overlap itself, make sure you don't cover up any holes, and really make sure that you press it down as much as possible. So I use maybe a nylon spudger to get into the corners a little bit. You don't want this to pop back up, and you have to take the phone all the way apart again to really adhere this down. So you want to make sure you do it right the first time. Just go through and cut your tape to fit, and again just make sure that there's no residual glue or tape or any debris on the frame of the phone here. You want the tape to sit nice and flush and flat, so when you put your display on, there's no ridges or it's not trying to come up at all. So you missed a spot right here. Apparently there's a little bit of debris underneath. It looks like a little tiny bit of glue that I'm going to have to clean off here real fast. So either a nylon spudger or using a razor blade will work. All right. Just want to make sure it's nice and clean so it sits nice and flush when I put the display back in. It'll look like it's brand new when we're finished. Now that looks pretty good, so now we can go ahead and lay the adhesive down. Make sure you cut off the length here at the bottom so it's nice and short. Now normally what I like to do is run it down the edge, and then I'll just cut it to right where the edge stops. And then the bottom and top portions I'll lay thicker adhesive on. See if this one will fit, which it's a little too thick, so I'll have to use a little bit thinner adhesive here as well. You want to get as much surface area as you can, but again, not being careful to cover up anything. There's two round holes at the bottom of this. You want to make sure that you don't cover up. Then you'll notice there's matching holes or displays on the actual glass itself. We're using a thicker adhesive here. This is I believe it's a 3mm adhesive in width. Just make sure you cut it so it doesn't cover any of the holes for the front-facing camera, proximity sensor, or anything like that across the top up here. So just making sure that you're careful to only lay the adhesive down where it needs to be and not on top of anything. Nothing like a terrible blurry front-facing camera or a non-working proximity sensor. Now what I'll do is I'll round the corners of some of the tape that I'm using to fit into the corner of the phone to get as much adherence property as possible. So just try to cut the round edge into the same shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want the corners of the phone to be adhered down as well. Do this corner up here at the top as well. Try to get as close to the hole down here as possible, but try not to cover it up. This tape is definitely sticky, and trying to cut it, and sometimes it'll stick to your scissors and want to pull up. Just make sure that it doesn't ripple itself when you're trying to lay it back down. Do the same thing on the opposite side. Now, once you're satisfied with the amount of adhesive that you have on there, you can go ahead and use a razor blade or something nice and sharp to go ahead and pry back the backing. Try not to touch any of the opposite side of the adhesive here. You want to make sure that it's nice and sticky when you go to put your screen back down. Alright, getting pretty close to getting ready to put the display back on this frame. Just a few more pieces to peel back. Alright, now that we have all the backing off, we can go ahead and take our display and butt it up against the top corners and make sure that the speaker is lined up correctly at the top. Make sure it fits nice and snug. Work your way down. Really, the corners are the most important things. You want to make sure they're all the way inside of the frame. Just work your way down the sides. Make sure that it's got a nice, snug, tight fit. Work your way across the bottoms and the sides. Alright, now with that done, and we're satisfied with how adhered it is, we can go ahead and put on the metal backing of the frame. It's always a little bit tricky to remember exactly how it came out of the phone with the piece here, so we're just going to mess around with it a little bit and see what the best fit is. You can take this rubber piece, we're going to put it right on top and line it up with the cutouts here. And that might have been a little bit of a tedious process, probably the most boring video, but it's definitely instrumental. If you have any questions, throw them in the comments. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you want to see future videos, they'll be down in the description with all the rest ones for this video. As always, I appreciate you watching.